you want. All right. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so you open this one up.
Oh, I get to open this one?
Yes.
What if I don't want to open this one?
Oh, come on.
Okay. I'm Alexis Melvin, and I'm here with Robin Mack.
Hey.
And
I'm Patrick Oathout, running for Houston City Council District C.
No, you get to say that last name again. You're Patrick what?
Oathout. It goes oath of office, goes out the door. It's a Dutch origin, and I think it got very anglicized at some point.
That's cool. I think I can say it. Oh, South.
Yeah, and you're running for which seat?
I'm running for Houston City Council District C.
And we got to vote like pretty quickly after this recording, right?
Yeah, 2 months. It's a special election to fill Abby Kamen's.
And how long is that particular seat before you have to vote again?
Yeah, it's about a year and a half. I'll be campaigning again in 2027.
Okay, so you are about to hit a voting season that's a special seat just for replacing Abby, and then you get to be in the seat for a year. Is that what I'm getting?
Yes,
okay,
exactly.
Great. And then you're going to keep going, or you're like, that's it?
I'm going to keep going.
Okay, good.
I'm going to keep going.
Good.
That's what you say now. We'll see.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's been such a marathon in Houston because if you look at District 18, it's like, okay, well then they get an empty seat and then they have to fill the seat. And then now they're going to have to get a permanent person for the seat, which is actually a whole different district. So if you're keeping up and you're tired, I mean, it's relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But, it's Texas. We seem to like to vote. We do it all the time.
Yes. And so many positions are elected in Texas. It's another unique facet here. And then on top of that, these districts don't overlap. So city council to Congress to, they're all different and they're changing. We're in the middle of this big gerrymandering process, and voters are not tracking that, even that council member Abby Kamen resigned. So when I'm out block walking, they're like, wait, are you running against her? I'm like, no, she's amazing. There's an open seat. There's a lot of voter explanation here. And it obviously costs the city a lot of money too. Every time we got to staff all these polling locations, make sure everybody's trained.
Well, and a lot of things I don't think people understand is that this is a city election.
Yeah.
Because it is a city office, which means the city does pay for it.
Yes.
Now, all the other elections, the county pays for it.
Okay, so what is happening to Abby? Because I imagine there are a lot of Abby fans, and even if there weren't Abby fans, I don't think people know that she's changing positions.
Yeah, so she's running for county attorney, and Houston has resigned to run rules. That primary is coming up, and I think I'm super excited for her to be in that role. She's got, such a strong background pushing back against.
Yeah. And I think she would be great for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
we're not losing Abby. She's not going away.
Well, if we vote her in, we aren't losing her.
Good. Yes, we got to
vote her in.
Okay.
Like everything else.
Okay.
Most of it has to do with the voters and the ones that don't show up.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then are you somebody who lives in District C?
Yes, I live in District C. I was born and raised here, actually.
Whoa,
so,
that's a hard claim.
Yeah,
that's it.
Born a couple blocks from Rice University. Okay. I went to Poe, Lanier, and Lamar for elementary, middle, and high school. All public schools. I used to walk to Poe in the morning, and I've seen Houston and the neighborhood change so much. I went to Six Flags when that was still around. I remember before there was a levee park.
Okay, so for those of you keeping up with the math, how old are you?
I'm 34 years old.
Okay. So you've been here, you're not new to this, you're true to this, and you are committed to the seat.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Here's the question. Why did you want to run for this seat?
Yeah.
It's a big seat.
Yeah. Well, part of this is because it's home. I grew up here. I've seen these neighborhoods change over time. And I've had some experiences growing up that, really made me want to push back against bullies. In high school, I was let go from a job for being gay. The job had a don't ask, don't tell policy. It was a summer camp out in the hill country of Texas. Gone there for 8 years as a camper, took on a job, and I had already been out of the closet. I came out at Lamar High School, and they told me camp counselors can't be gay, or at least we can't know about it. And that was kind of a political awakening. This was obviously pre-Bostock. The irony is my mom is a labor attorney, and I had no recourse whatsoever. I went away to school for a couple of years, and I joined the Army then after January 6, 2021, because I was worried about the state of our democracy. I was pissed off watching those folks storm the Capitol. And I think also I was nursing a part of me that wanted to prove my masculinity. I got bullied a lot growing up for being effeminate. I played with Barbies, wore dresses. When I'd play a video game, I'd pick the girl character. I think a lot of us have that experience growing up.
Absolutely.
This side of the table does.
Yeah. I mean,
except it wasn't Barbie because Barbie was like not even thought of then.
well, she's holding the boomer side of the table. So, how old are you now? You just had a birthday, Alexis.
I'm 77.
Okay.
I'm proudly 77. There we go.
I also had a birthday. I'm 43. So we're holding different spots, but we're all familiar with these moments. And so, are you saying you joined the Army after January 6th?
Yeah, I did basic training in April 2021. So 3 months after January 6th happened.
Wow.
And I was in basic training as a 29-year-old with a bunch of 18-year-olds. It was so much fun, to be honest. Basic training is really intense.
You're like, transformation, here I come.
Yeah. And the Army, I have to say, was an amazing experience. I mean, everybody was always focused on getting the job done.
Nice.
It's such an interesting group of people, so diverse. It really reflects the gamut of perspectives we have in the United States. And I was a armor officer, so I led a tank platoon.
Whoa!
At
you got
NATO.
to play with some toys.
Yes, yeah. And I led this platoon at NATO battlegroup Poland. So we have a bunch of battle groups positioned on the Russian border in case they were to attack. They're meant to be the first speed bump. And the U.S. runs the battle group in Poland. It's a multinational coalition with Croatians, Romanians, Brits, and obviously Polish troops.
That seems cool.
It was a really cool experience. Let me tell you, the Polish and the Allies were so excited to have us there. This was 2023, so in the midst of, the Ukrainian-Russian conflict, and they were so excited to have Americans there defending democracy.
I bet your mom was nervous, though. You're like on the front line. I was like, oh, she's probably got a gut of steel.
Yeah.
Wow.
My mom was absolutely worried. And I am somebody actually who gets more motivated to do something when people discourage me from doing it.
Right. So you can absolutely not win. We will not have you in this seat. And how dare you trying to claim District C when you only grew up in it and you want better things for it? Okay, fine.
Yeah. But, I think this is probably a common queer experience because you're told so many times growing up, you can't wear that, you can't play with that toy, you can't have that name, you can't go to this room, you can't be a part of our friend group, you can't go to the bathroom with us, whatever the example is. And I think that gets really old after a while.
Oh, yeah. It's exhausting.
And you start to resent it, shall we say.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, and it's you can't, unless you've had the experience, you can't understand how much you could resent it.
Yeah.
And, I'm just surprised there isn't a lot more violence from our side.
Yeah.
I mean, long fingernails can do really bad damage. So, but let me go back to my question, which is, why, what's the thing? What are the things that you want to do? Why is it that you want this seat?
Yeah. Well, as I said, I've seen this neighborhood change over time, and I'm worried about Houston now. Trump's back in office. Abbott wants to take over the city, and I'm not going to let these folks take over my hometown. They want to strip Houston of our local control. We need, as a city, we are becoming the third largest city in the U.S. We need the infrastructure, public safety, and affordability to match it. And we need smart folks on city council who have experience and are pragmatic and want to solve these issues, because Houston has got a lot of tough problems ahead of it. And I think we need to come together and find common sense, smart solutions to these things and stop getting sucked into, the game Trump. Now, that's my conjugation of Trump and Abbott now, but the fight that Trump and Abbott want us to have.
Yeah, because a lot of it doesn't exist. A lot of it's made up that they're doing.
Yes.
And I guess one of the questions that is a little bit puzzling to me is you've had a fair amount of experience overseas, and those sorts of things. Why go for something very, very local?
Yeah. Well, and on top of it being my hometown, 12 years ago, I worked for the city. I interned under Anise Parker at the Department of Neighborhoods, and I built a mobile app for the department. It was basically like a Yelp for local businesses. So you'd get on the app and you're like, hey, I want to shop at a local Houston business, and you'd use it to search. And I got a glimpse of city politics at that time, and I loved it, that it was about the meat and potatoes of delivering services, not often sucked into partisan battles, and often a lot of room for innovation. Folks are dealing with really tough operational problems, how to get the trash picked up, how to make the water work. And there's so much room there for smart solutions that, make things work a little bit better, and people appreciate it. So I've been somebody who, I have a lot of different experiences, but I'm always looking to deliver results, find a solution, and, not get sucked into big, fights that aren't worth talking about.
Is that what started your curiosity in being in politics, was working during that time? Because I think it's very fair to say that we know a lot of people that aren't interested in politics at all, shut it out completely, only, deal with their life, and they think either someone else is handling it or maybe they've been told to no too many times. I mean, a lot of structures do not include them and have always been broken, that sort of thing. So, I mean, to be fair, as resilient as we are, we're at this table for a reason right now, but I want to include people that have struggled with those moments of, my representative doesn't care about me. There's no place for me in this city. I do live in Texas where they're always coming for me. What is it that I can do? Or even as far as my vote doesn't matter. I mean, I always try to make a space for them at the table, because even resilient people go through those spaces. But when you got started with the app, is that your first time and that kind of turned you on to politics, or you saw a space for yourself in there?
I think it was earlier than that. I think when I was, I did speech and debate in middle and high school, so a little bit of a nerd, and you talk about different political issues. You have to argue both sides, and it helped me form strong opinions on what I actually believed, because I got to learn the other side. I think, too, getting fired from a job in a state that didn't have any protections at the time for labor discrimination on the basis of gender identity or sexual orientation was an awakening. I was like, this state does not have my back, and I am not going to just leave here and give up on it. There's other people like me. And so I think that was a point that crystallized for me, Texas is so important. I think it decides the future of this nation. I mean, all the fights, climate change, abortion, book bans, it's all here in this state. The future is not going to be determined in California and New York. And so it's really important that we as Texans get organized, and we're really close to flipping this state and changing the nation as a result of it. And so I get why people are I get why people feel, dissatisfied with politics. And in 2026, it's become about a lot of self-righteousness, getting on social media and saying why the other side is wrong, this, that, and that, and not building solutions together. And I think we need more elected representatives who have that mindset.
Well, yeah, one of the things that, I'm really tired of hearing everybody talk about how horrible their opponent is, or how horrible the other people are, or how you can't do this or can't do that. But they've never tried.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you know you can't do something if you haven't tried?
Yeah.
Now, granted, in Houston, it's a little bit harder to get your ideas through city council, because it's got to go through the mayor.
Yeah.
And pretty much the mayor can get rid of any idea he doesn't like.
And that's because he can set the agenda?
Yeah, he sets the agenda. And I mean, there was an ordinance passed that says, I think it's 3 city council members can add something to the agenda, but he still has to call the agenda. And so, the deal is you do have to work with the mayor, and anybody that says, I'm just going to run over the mayor is crazy. It's like you got to work it out and find a way to get there. But that's doable. I mean, and besides that, there'll be another mayor sometime soon.
Right.
Or not soon, but I mean, we do have term limits, so they aren't there forever.
Right.
But I guess my real question now would be, so what are the 1 or 2 things that you, as a district council member, can do and would want to do?
Yeah. Well, I segment the items I want to work on into 3 different buckets. 1 are things I can start doing day 1. I can just use my district service funds. 2 are things, priorities I'm going to push for in the budget. And then 3, ordinance reform. Let's talk about what I'm going to start doing on day 1. And I don't need to wait on city council writ large to pass it or for a budget. There's things I can get done right away. One of those is to create a disaster response plan for District C. I lived through Allison, Rita, and Harvey. And, we've gotten more infrastructure now. We weathered this winter storm well, but I don't know if I'm optimistic that the next hurricane that comes through, we're going to survive unscathed. And infrastructure takes a while to build. So in the meantime, let's get organized as a community. On every single block, somebody knows this is my block captain. They know where the emergency toolboxes are. They host the charge your phone party. They identify the house that has power. They're the one who calls Centerpoint. Hilariously, I remember when Allison hit Houston, we were without power in June for a week. So no AC. All the doors were open on the block. And my mom was running down the street at the Centerpoint truck, fix our power, waving dollar bills in her hand. Like, come fix our power. Let's have one point person on each block who handles this. It would honestly help Centerpoint. And I think also it would just get us organized as a community. We have somebody to turn
get to know your neighbors again.
And there's probably people on blocks who, maybe don't have the ability to weather a disaster because they're
most likely
there's all sorts of situations there. So it's something I'm really excited about. We can just get ourselves organized. And a really good example of this recently is what we're seeing in Minneapolis. The folks, the community there are organized. They have all their habits now and I call them habits because they seem like they're organic cultural things of like whistling when they see ICE people around, posting things on social media. I mean, this is the community rallying together, creating shared practices, habits, and this happened organically. I mean, this is the power of organization, and I want to do the same for Houston. And once you know the people on your block who's your storm block captain, which by the way is a very nonpartisan issue, then I think it gets us organized for all other sorts of things that we would want to focus on in a city.
I think the real problem with that is you've got to make sure it doesn't slip into partisanism.
Yeah.
I mean, if they start doing politics and they're the block captain, that's a problem.
That's a good point.
I mean, it's got to be something where the person says, no, I've got this set of jobs I do, and I don't get into the middle of any of the elections or anything else.
Yeah. Well, that's a really, really great point. Fortunately, storms tend to be, focused on like, let's all come together and solve the issue at hand. Yep. And we can definitely emphasize that too. The other thing is it gets folks talking to each other. I mean, I feel like now I don't know all the neighbors on my block for whatever reason. This gets us talking to each other. And no matter what our political divides are, getting to know folks around the corner and not just scrolling on your phone, I think is good in general.
And do you know if there's currently a fund for that, or is this something that would be new? Because I know that when Abby did run, she came right in after Harvey. So it was easy to say that Bel Air had floodings and, different places needed a lot of support. And we've come a long way out of that. But currently, do you know if anything is left as far as funds, or is this something you'll have to generate?
This will be, I actually don't think this is going to cost a lot of money. This is about just getting people organized together. It is going to require a lot of time and effort to identify the people, in each neighborhood who are point people for this type of thing. But I would allocate, part of the regularly annual district service funds that are given to me to parts of this initiative that we need to, whether it's for publicizing it or funding some of the tools we end up needing for this type of thing. But honestly, this is just tapping the people who need to do this, getting them in a room together, giving them a half-a-day training of like, when there's a storm, this is the number you call, plan for these things on your block, and then they disseminate that on their blocks.
Wow. Yeah.
And if possible, get them good numbers.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, you know,
Numbers that work.
if the person's working as a block captain and they're trying to call center point and they've tried all day and get nothing but a busy signal, that's not going to work. They need the special numbers.
Yes, that's a good point. That's
know,
a really good point.
Because I'll assure you the mayor and county judge don't get busy signals.
Yeah, and I mean, per street, you could have dead zones as far as being able to call out for certain phones and not others. And
That's a great point.
It can really make a difference if there was a point person and a fallback person. And I'm in District H and near Northside, and my city council member, I always like to remind people, when Isabel Longoria lost, she lost by 16 votes.
Yeah.
So your votes do matter. And in our area, sometimes the iPhones don't work, but the Androids do. And we have people now who have generator boxes, but if they're out of town, their whole house is lit up with energy, and then nobody can access it, you know? So we're in a place where it's like we can kind of shoulder some of those things per zone, even by the backs of people who have been able to get those resources. But even then, you know, there needs to be some sort of ahead of time planning, if you will. So that's really great. What else you got under your category 2, your category 3?
Yeah. You know, I'm really focused on public safety too. I mean, we all want to live in a safe community, and I think there's ways that we can systemize, sorry, I created a word there, to some of the things we're trying to do to keep the city safe. I think there's low-cost solutions now, like cameras and noise meters that do the initial triaging and flagging. So HPD, the constables, the sheriffs, which are already pretty constrained in terms of resources, can have a leg up when they're starting an investigation, or have a prioritization that directs them where to go.
Yeah. So where do you see the pushback on things like cameras, for instance?
Yeah, well, obviously a lot of privacy concerns. I do think the genie's a little bit out of the bottle here because of Ring. There's really now, 20 cameras on every block now these days. Now, these cameras are sometimes only activated if you have a subscription or if there's motion. But if we...
When you walked up here, you were on 4 of my cameras, 2 of my next door neighbors, and 3 across the street.
Yeah.
So
we are, these are everywhere now, but there's really low-cost solutions that we can use to make sure if there's theft, burglary, that these things are resolved quickly and that we're arriving to the police department with a little bit of a leg up to catch this stuff quickly. I think, obviously our public safety community is really constrained these days. There's a lot of overtime, and I think anything we can do to sort of alleviate and deter crime further probably is a good solution as well.
And are you doing anything so far to connect with people who have implemented some of these plans? For instance, Mario is my current representative, and my neighborhood is very advocate heavy. So they don't have any problems like calling people or calling HPD or the precinct or documenting. But the problem was they didn't know where the process got stopped or when it got stopped. And what Mario did was have for them and, everybody who wanted to report something, create a one spot, I think it's through his website, where you can report something and see in real time where that goes, when did it get reported, where is it at in the process, and it's all very transparent, and it can be really helpful. People have been very satisfied with that because it feels like you're being heard, it is documented, and then it feels like your representative is in the loop. Yeah. If there needs to be some support in that, but sometimes not. Sometimes it's just like we need to see it on something other than a Google Doc, or we don't know if it really got handled or just checked off from 311, you just don't know. Yeah, I think that's a really great idea. At the end of the day, folks want to just feel that something's being taken seriously, that a case was not just shoved into a filing cabinet somewhere. Especially if you've caught the person, the license plate on camera. Right. It seems pretty easy these days. And so I think that's a really good idea as well. Well, and with a little bit of training, you'd be much better at catching them. Like one of the things most people don't realize is that most camera placements won't catch a license plate. Yeah.
but it's really easy to change that.
Yeah.
And so, it's sort of like,
Pixel it up.
Yeah.
well, basically they're shooting down like this. You don't see the
Okay.
license plate.
Okay, yeah.
So
yeah.
if it's down closer
Different
to the
angles.
ground, you see the license plate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And, those sorts of things. But what I was saying was I've been to a couple, this was a few years back, of the HPD classes on how to do stuff like that. And they left out all the stuff you need to know, which was interesting. They were talking about selling cameras almost. That's what it sounded like, which is, okay, I get it. They think the more the merrier, but you got to go through and explain a lot of things as far as how to set them up, which I think they could do better with it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. We could probably do a town hall that sort of invites discussion on this thing. So it's so interesting in 2026, everybody's seen true crime, shows, listen to podcasts, and everybody thinks they're a detective and they don't understand why the case isn't getting solved. And I think there's legitimate reasons why things take a while. But to your point, just having transparency and showing like this is the tracker on where it is in the process would be super helpful. To this same tracker transparency point, another thing I'm focusing on is creating 311 dashboards. I don't know if you all have used or even have on your phone the 311 app for the city of Houston.
I've called them, but I have not used the app.
It takes 6 to 9 months for something to get resolved. There's requests on there that are 5 years old. And I think that we could at least in my office, build dashboards that track these requests. And I'd like to push over time to try to modernize the app. And I don't know if it's AI enabled, where there's a chatbot feature where if you have a run-of-the-mill request, like I need to get my garbage can replaced, it has the saved answer for this type of thing. But, we can start pushing this out in my office without waiting for the app to be revamped by just creating some self-service portals.
And it's one of the things that if you design what you want correctly, and by that I mean not necessarily the app or whatever, but if you design what you're looking for correctly, then it makes it much easier to get it done, and it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
What you want for that one is everything that goes in gets logged, and if it hasn't had any activity in a certain length of time, it eventually goes to a person.
Yeah.
And it's tagged to a person. Now, if there's a reason it's had no activity, it might go back to the automatic logging and looking at it. But at some point, it needs to have some resolution.
Yeah.
And a human.
Yeah.
I think that still
With a
helps.
human.
It still helps because there needs to be like real accountability. Yeah.
Well, I do think the bulk of the requests, the Houston Chronicle put out data on this when it comes to 311, are often requests like my trash shouldn't get picked up. Now, there's probably a automated answer for that, i.e. there was a holiday Monday, so schedules got shifted to the right, or we didn't operate yesterday because of weather, but I can promise you in 2 days it's going to get picked up. I think there's probably some low-hanging fruit here, solutions that could auto-populate answers like this. You enter your address, it says, you click my trash wasn't picked up, and it says your expected trash pickup date is, 2 days from now, or something like that.
Well, and the big problem with a lot of it, though, is that with 311, they clear things that aren't cleared. I've had that happen with at least half the calls that I've made. Is, because I go in and check. In fact, if someone asks how to handle something, I tell them, put it on 311, go back the next day and see if it's still up, and then call your representative.
Yeah.
Because if it's not staying up or they cleared it for some weird reason, your representative can't find out anything about it.
Yeah.
So, try to do the upfront work, make sure it's still there. And usually they've just cleared it for absolutely no reason.
Yeah. The standard, I'll say this in quotation marks, the standard of care for 311 should not be, was this addressed? It should be, was this resolved?
Exactly.
And I think we need to build that into the tracking system. Not just was this referred to the department that handles this issue.
Yeah, because that's not resolved.
Yeah.
Right.
I think we need a customer service mindset in my office specifically when it comes to constituent services and with city things like this in general. Nobody should call and be told either A, I can't help you, B, we send somebody out and they say, oh, this is not my problem to solve, or C, in a lot of cases, I think we're outsourcing services to neighbors. Like, you're supposed to call so-and-so department to fix this pothole. and maybe within a realm of logic that's reasonable, but I think that we should have a mindset first of like, I'm going to do everything I can to help you. And that's where I think, self-help guidance or FAQs on like, hey, there must be 50 to 70 reasons people call. Mm-hmm. Let's map all those reasons out, create the standard template answer for if it's this, you do this, this, this. Mm-hmm. And then we arm people with the solution as opposed to just telling them, sorry, not my problem.
Yeah, and one of the things that Abby brought up when she ran for this seat was that we need to remember that all of our districts, as big and as weirdly designed as they are, bump up against other districts. Yeah. So how are you planning to partner with other city council members?
Yeah, I mean, I want to create coalitions and work together on different initiatives, things that, cross different districts or that we're all passionate about. I know Mario and Alejandra well, and so happy to collaborate with them, and I actually think, frankly, having 3 queer members on city council would give us a queer voting bloc that could bring a Prop A initiative forward, and mm-hmm. I think we would all work well together. And I want to have that type of relationship with every city council member. And sometimes that's about, just not yelling through a microphone, getting to know people behind the scenes, developing relationships, and finding where there's common ground. And I think on municipal issues, there's probably a lot of common ground. We all want the trash to get picked up. Mm-hmm. We all want the potholes to get fixed. It doesn't matter your politics for those issues.
Do you see any common ground so far with Whitmire?
I think Whitmire and I, let me say this. I have spent many years in the Army working with people from all sorts of different backgrounds mm-hmm. and different perspectives on things. And I think that we can definitely find common ground. He's spent a lot of years in the Senate, fighting for democratic causes, and I really respect that. And I want to have a collaborative relationship. We live in a city, we have to work together. I think at times there's going to be places we disagree. I've got strong values, and I'll tell him when I feel differently about something. But we as Democrats especially have to work together. In Houston, we have to stop fighting each other. The real enemy is Trump and Abbott, and I think we have to find ways of working together.
And are you still in the Army, or will you just be full-time city council member? I'm not sure on that.
Yeah, I'm an individual. I'm in the IRR in the Army, so it means like if there were a huge worldwide conflict that called us up, we would potentially be involved. Now, I don't know where we would deploy tanks. That's where my expertise is.
I don't know. It might be the front line.
Yeah. Maybe.
Minneapolis.
Yeah. Who knows? But I'm not active duty right now. And I'm not doing, active reserves either.
Okay, great. Because, isn't there a thing where if you're do they have a rule about if you get called off? Like, do you still run the seat, or is this another election, or do you know how that would work?
It's a really interesting question. I don't know.
I feel like I have to ask more follow-up. What happens if you leave the seat after District 18? It's like, come on, Sheila, what happens if you get sick? Come on, Turner, you've already been sick. So I feel like we have to have plan A, plan B if we can see it. You know?
Well, fact check me after the episode, but sure. I remember Mayor...
It's okay if you don't know. It's okay.
I think when Mayor Pete was mayor of South Bend, he got called up as a reservist for a while to Afghanistan, and he continued in the role. I don't know what the city of Houston rules are.
Okay, so
this is like a sub 1% possibility that A, the IRR is activated, and B, that they need a tank officer. Mm-hmm. If that situation happens, we're in, a whole different realm of conflict, and I don't expect it to happen.
But we are currently in the game of Jumanji, so we just have to ask these questions.
Yeah, for sure.
Are you going to say anything? I feel like I'm interrupting you.
Oh, yeah. No, the only thing I was going to ask was, are any of the current council members endorsing you?
No one has publicly declared endorsements. I have good relationships with a lot of folks. In an open race like this, I think there's a lot of candidates, a lot of, let's see who makes it to the runoff. And,
There's 7 candidates, right?
7 candidates.
I just thought I'd check because for a while there, before filing deadlines, it was changing hourly, it seemed like.
Yeah. But I have good relationships with a lot of council members. It's on me as a first-time candidate to prove myself, to prove that I'm willing to do the work of block walking, that, I have the volunteer and apparatus behind me. I'm making smart strategic and communication decisions. I'm out talking to members of the community like I'm doing here, that I'm willing to put up the work. Like, a campaign is often a proxy for how you're going to be as an elected council member, especially as a district person where you're handling constituent issues all the time. So if you're just running a campaign from your desk, you're probably not going to be a good district council member. You got to go out and talk to people. So I'm going to prove myself, and I'm excited to do that.
That's great. How are you going to get people to get out and vote for you? Because I ask everyone this, there are now more non-voters than voters. Mm-hmm. And like we've mentioned here, some people may not even know that this seat is up, right? Yeah. So what's your game for that to get on people's radar? Yeah,
we have to out-communicate voters. I think I have a really strong message and story, but I got to communicate it to voters and convince them, we have to first do a lot of things here. Inform them of the election, inform them of me, get them persuaded to vote for me, and then inform them of the date of the election so they go out and vote. Yeah. It makes it for really complicated messaging. Mm-hmm. But, it's about talking to people in person. It's about calling them on the phone. It's about going to community events. Mm-hmm. And it's about finding advocates in the community who are willing to support you. I do have a lot of endorsements from the community, and those have been really good surrogates for my campaign.
Like what?
A lot of LGBTQ folks in the community.
Okay, so we're going to get that bar party shuttle, and we're going to the voting, and Lana Blake's going to be your MC. She's going to tell them what box to click. No,
yes.
I mean, maybe. People can't tell Lana no.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, who's to say we shouldn't go out, in Montrose, get out the vote and canvass? And...
Well, I think one of the bars... I don't know if they're still open. I think one of the bars had a voting poll.
It's had a change name, but they did have the last year before we did the common voting locations. They had a polling place, and which bar was it?
I mean, I didn't vote there, but Chris saw that people felt safe voting there. So when we had 24-hour voting, they did put a voting poll in one of the bars. And I don't know which one it is. Oh.
Yeah, I know exactly where it is.
Yeah, I don't know. But sometimes they do change names, so I'm not really sure. Yeah. But, and, like inclusive churches have had a long history of voting polls. Yeah. Bering is an amazing church to go be at. Alexis went there one time, and they were closing the booth because they literally knew who was left vote and who wasn't. Like, they're so attentive.
They were basically on election day, not really terribly paying attention. They're like, we only have 3 voters left. Everyone else has either died since the last election, or they voted. Yeah, and I'm like, you're kidding. They're like, no, who's the 3? Yeah. It's like, wow. So we're watching for them. When they show up, we'll make sure everything's ready to go.
A lot of times, Alexis and I have seen people that are afraid to vote or afraid to go alone. So we'll say, meet us at Cafe Express, because there's always a lot of parking across from West Gray. We'll have like a meal. We'll talk about whatever the deal is, or if there's any questions, we'll just walk over and vote together. Yeah. And then come to find out, they said, that was pretty anticlimactic, really easy. What's the big hubbub about it? Can I call my friends to do this too? We're like, absolutely.
That's a big question. Is can I call my friends and invite them? Please do.
Please do.
They can invite their friends.
Yeah. And a lot of times at West Gray, they'll see someone that they know as far as an official on the ballot. And so you can actually talk to them. And that's kind of enlightening for people that don't usually get that opportunity.
Right. And they're afraid of law enforcement and those sorts of things. And usually it's like, we'll find somebody that we know really well, like Alan Rosen, and say, okay, these people are afraid you're going to do something bad to them. Mm-hmm. And Alan's like, me? Yeah. And, they're like, oh, well, so you're actually the constable. Yeah. He's like, yeah, the constable, not a constable.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, I mean, one way of getting voters excited out there is showing them that they can trust you and listening to them. I think that comes by talking to people and saying what matters to you and then shutting up as a candidate. I think we're primed as candidates to be like, hi, my name is Patrick Oathout and I'm running for district council and then here's my platform, blah, blah, blah. I have found it really powerful, unlocked to be like, tell me the issues that you care about in your neighborhood. And sometimes folks talk about things we have no power over at city council, but I mean, it's a starting place, and then you can connect it to a local issue. You can talk about your point of view on that subject. I think a lot more listening has to get done too.
And that's a big thing about Houston is there's so many different branches that a lot of times places do get calls and they're like, we don't really handle that, but we can point you to this. And I'm glad that you have that perspective and you're willing to help people out on that.
I mean, that was part of the incentive behind doing 311.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, just in the city, there are so many different places to call.
Yeah.
I mean, who do you call about whatever it is? Because there's tons of stuff going on.
Yeah.
The interesting thing that occurred to me came up sort of when you were talking about something a little while ago. You know, when you talk public safety and those sorts of things, nobody talks about the fire department. Everybody talks about the police, but no one talks about the fire department.
Why do you think that is?
I think they do a fairly good job.
Yeah.
They show up, they put out fires, the ambulances show up, treat you, you know, with the initial triage and get you to the hospital.
Yeah.
That's their job.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're noisy and they make all sorts of demands and other things, but they do their job.
Yeah.
Well, and they definitely vote. So you should be talking to them. When they want their uniforms and their pay raises, they vote. So I think that's great. Well, what do you do to keep yourself well? Because this doesn't seem like a long run, but you're in it for the marathon.
Yeah. My whole life, I have been somebody who just works really, really hard and finds energy from talking to people. So this is going to sound like a dodgy answer, but how I keep myself well is doing more of it. Campaigning, I have found so energizing, especially with everything going on in the world, going out and talking to people and realizing like, we all want what's best for this country. I mean, I raised my hand when January 6th happened because I was legitimately worried about this country. And now out here campaigning in Houston, it's given me so much energy and happiness because there's so many good people in the city and we just want the city to be better. We have sometimes disagreements on how we go and do that. But I think that, you know, just talking to people has really honestly given me a lot of energy. I think too, something I do to center myself is be in nature. And it's why I enjoy block walking so much is just being out in the sunlight or going to Fleming Park or Rice University and taking a walk around really helps me center myself as well and focus on what's important.
That's wonderful. Yeah, we have a lot of really great outdoor spaces that are not in comparison to other states and stuff, but around the city we do have some revitalizing spaces that we can center in, and it's good to get outdoors for sure. And I do see you get passionate when you're talking. It's not a YouTube interview, so I just want to say, like, you get lit up and you're passionate, and it seems to me like maybe you kind of like a little extrovert on that. Like you just get your energy when you're out with people. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think this is tied back to growing up being queer, but I think I am an extrovert. But so many times growing up, I was pushed out of a friend group or told your voice is too high. Are you gay? And I learned how to be an introvert. I learned how to be by myself.
Yeah.
But there is a really core part of me that loves talking to people.
Nice.
And
that's beautiful.
And I think too, I have chosen maybe unfortunately a couple careers that can be lonely. Being an officer of a platoon, everybody's looking at you. You're out there outside for 40 days straight, not showering. All the soldiers are looking at you for the answers, and the radio's crackling. The order came through, you didn't hear it, and they're like, "Sir, what are we supposed to do?" And you're like, you want to say, "I don't know." I have spent a lot of time in a bunch of jobs being by myself, and what I love about campaigning is I'm never by myself. I am talking to people all day. So in a weird twist, this has been really, really energizing. So it may sound like a weird answer that how I calm down from campaigning is campaigning more. But it really
well, that's
brings me
also what you
energy.
have to do.
Yeah.
So because it's a large amount of space to cover. How are you incorporating the inclusiveness of Houston diversity? Because there's a lot out there. District C does touch a lot of points.
Yeah, I mean, it's the heart of Houston. It's the only city council district that is surrounded by every other district. So to your earlier point, it requires partnerships with each city council member. I want to make sure that my, city council office does town halls in every part of the district, and that we're including members from all the different communities on my staff, in listening sessions, appointing them to various boards. I mean, I really do want to listen here and get ideas from the community. I'm not going to be an elected who knows the answers to all problems. I think I know how to structure problems. I know how to structure listening sessions, but the idea for what's wrong requires listening to everybody. And yeah, I want to have a posture too of like prioritizing equity and listening to folks and taking all of their perspectives as valid,
And did you say what your educational background was? I might have missed it if you did.
Yeah, I went to Duke University, studied public policy and philosophy.
Okay.
And I was an art history minor.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, okay, you did say that, but it might have been
The
before the
history
podcast.
part I got, the other I didn't get. They're a little bit relevant, to say the least.
Yeah, for sure. What I did with my undergraduate education actually is I wanted to learn how to think and not learn topics. So I picked public policy because it was analytical. It was about math, economics. I picked philosophy because it was broad, ethics, think about things logically. And then art history taught me how to see, how to notice details.
Beautiful.
I think you need to learn. I wish we prioritized teaching people how to think as opposed to, just facts and skills, especially in the age of AI. These things are at your fingertips. It's not a shame if anybody uses AI these days to learn something, but do you know the right questions to ask it is the much tougher thing.
Right, and I think every field is going to incorporate it somehow to some degree as we go. And I don't know anything about the people running against you, I'm with Alexis. I don't like people who necessarily talk about other people, but out of the 7 people, why you?
Yeah. I mean, first off, I was born and raised here. This has been home to me, and I've seen this district change over time. 2, I have a variety and range of experiences I don't think we've ever seen on city council. I'm a veteran. I actually we didn't talk about it here, but I work in AI safety now. I built an app for the city. I have a technology literacy that's going to make me really useful on city council. If we ever end up, adding new technological systems in our city, I'm going to know how to ask the right questions.
Nice.
And I spent years in the business community too. I also spent years in the advocacy community. Throughout college, I worked a lot on immigration and refugee issues. My senior thesis was on the resettlement of LGBTQ refugees in the United States. So I understand a lot of different issues. I am very used to diving into a situation I don't know anything about and learning very quickly. And I think that's given me a really flexible mind and a political sense that prioritizes results and outcomes over righteousness.
Wow. I would just maybe, I don't know, a third of that from some of our national leadership. And I don't mean to take away from some of the work that people do, but it's very, we could use that on a lot of levels right now. Thank you for your commitment, really. And I look forward to seeing you rock that seat maybe a few times, right?
Yeah.
So, am I missing anything, Alexis?
Obviously. I always have questions.
She's got the final, wait.
Yeah, the thing I guess I look at is that, you have a very short period of time once you're elected to make something happen that people see as positive.
Yeah.
To keep the seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, in Houston and at the district level, almost everybody says, I'll fix flooding. Well, you aren't going to fix flooding unless you can figure out how to tell it to rain where you want it to rain. But, and basically it gets thrown back in their face, it seems like every year, just constantly, because fixing flooding, can be done. It takes a long time. I mean, the engineering suggestions of, pumping it underground is probably the best thing. Basically, I did a project a long, long time ago that's what we came up with. That's what you should have.
Yeah.
And it's perfectly doable. It's no big deal. It just requires that some things be done that a lot of people don't want to have done, which is tunnel.
Yeah.
But so, the question is, what do you think you can get done first?
Yeah. Well, that's, honestly, to this fixed flooding point and people overpromising things they can't deliver, voters are pretty savvy. They see through it. They're pretty informed. I found on block walking that they have pretty smart questions. That's why my disaster response plan was like the solution to this. Like, I can't fix infrastructure in a year, but here's what I can do is I can get folks organized. So in case things do flood again, and we're not prepared, at least you got folks on your block that you can talk to for the next disaster. That's why I'm really focused on things I can start doing on day one. I want to, following Mario Castillo's example, I also want to dedicate my district service funds to cleaning up illegal dumping, especially prevalent in the Heights. This is, again, something I can action right away. I don't need to wait for an ordinance or a budget or even a session to start. I can, get moving on that quickly. So I'm focused on, quick win solutions that sort of build trust in government again. I think that's so lacking these days, that government's not going to solve our issues. And I think it's fair. It's got a really tough time sometimes solving these issues. So let's find creative ways of doing these that don't require even a council vote or a budget to pass.
Okay.
I think that's awesome. What you're also saying is that you're going to leave people with skills, structure, and support literally on their street, in their area. And so if they're committed there, whether it's a new person who moved in, a renter who's about to move out, like, they can take that to other places or they could keep it there, whether you're in that seat or not. And I appreciate that commitment. Because the one thing we're not going to be done with is natural disasters. We're so focused on human disasters, and I keep reminding people half of this stuff does not need to happen. But the nature part, that can just affect us for generations, and so I really do appreciate that commitment. But the flip side is true as well. Is like skills can also travel with you and be in the moment on site. So it's really important.
Yeah. The final thing I want to say too, and I think that's something that also makes me different from other candidates in this race is, again, we need a fighter who's willing to stand up to Trump and Abbott. I was in the military. I can speak to a lot of audiences, and I am really committed to democracy, Texas, and the best for Houstonians. And we need folks who are credible advocates on this stuff and are willing to push back and who also unite democratically aligned people in this city and focus on who the real enemy is. And I think I'm the person to do that.
And on that point, how does a city council member do that? I mean, just for people connecting the dots here, because you could be thinking really local about trash, and that might be the only thing that some people ever talk about as a city council member. But when you're talking about state and when you're talking about national, like, what does that look like?
Yeah, well, it's absolutely true that, Abbott has a stranglehold on the city, and it's really made it tougher for us as a city to do a lot. But I can use my platform and coalitions with other council members to push back when they try to strip us of our local control. I mean, Greg Abbott is now trying to come for the Harris County Flood Control District. We're sitting here talking about this stuff, and he wants to divert funds from Harris County to other surrounding counties. And I don't want them to do that. Like, Houston's got enough flooding issues as it is. So let's use our platform to speak out on this stuff. And we are more effective using our platform when we're amplified and in unison. And this is why it's really important to have a good relationship with every council member and the mayor. So we are singing from the same song sheet and really pushing back against state overreach when it's happening.
It's also really good to remember that Abbott does not have term limits. You have to vote him out.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that, and that's a part of the problem.
And it's emboldening him. He's now coming for our elections. I mean, so, we really have got to he's already come for our schools. Like, we have got to slow this down, and we need elected officials who are willing to fight in intelligent ways and aren't picking dumb battles, but, as our mayor just said, like smart fights.
Absolutely.
And they have to be aware of the real situations and problems.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of times the stuff you see from some of our elected officials are pure internet fantasy.
Yep.
And that never helps, because when worse comes to worse, they'll disprove you because they're the ones that made it up usually.
Yeah.
The other side.
Or it's righteousness, but with no solution behind it. So-and-so is bad. This and this is evil. Well, what are we going to do about it? Or what's going to replace it? And that's honestly, a lot of people talk about courage these days and speak up. I actually think it's more courageous sometimes these days to build solutions. It's really easy now to tell people why they're wrong. It's a lot harder to sort of get into the details and figure out, okay, the reason we do trash this way is actually because there's only a couple dump sites in the city. And so Houston's a really spread out city. These trucks have to go miles and miles and miles through traffic to bring all that trash back. And so that's why we do it this way. There's these following solutions that we could do, but there's significant trade-offs to those. And we need electeds who talk to the public and explain that succinctly to everybody too.
Right. Right. Yeah. And oh my God, maybe get the people on the television to say the same thing.
Yes.
Misreporting and reporting has inaccurately has been a problem too. It does take away from some of the things that the city is trying to do and that the city cannot do. But I appreciate you pointing that out and how we can bring strategy back to it. We can bring unity into it. And there are levels that city council can reach beyond the city of Houston.
Yeah, and we can do that all without compromising our values. We just have to get on the same page.
Yeah, absolutely.
And at times, you have to say, okay, we're working on this problem right now. Those other 17 problems where we disagree really don't matter right now, because that's not what we're working on.
If you have 20 priorities, you don't have any priorities.
Right. And so many people don't understand that, sometimes we'll disagree, sometimes we'll agree, and that's just fine. And, it's like you either have to agree with me 100% or, I'm not going to do anything with you. And it's like, that never works out.
Yeah.
Because I never agree with anyone all the time.
Well, and there's a lot of need in a very diverse city. So thank you for being willing to listen and to include all voices and to offer really simplified answers, because people are stressed and they do want the answer. And that is why they're going to the representative. And a lot of representatives are still not even reachable in their seats. So, I mean, that's a huge disservice. So I'm glad that you're off to the right start, and I hope everyone gets out to early voting, which starts when?
March 18th is when ballots drop.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will post this and we'll keep sharing this, and we look forward to having you back whether you win or not.
Yeah.
Because I believe that if you're running, then you're willing to be in this conversation for a while, whether you win or not. So I'm excited to have you here. Thank you for being a guest on 22 Sides.
Thank you. It's my honor. And like I said, this stuff energizes me. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, if you're listening, take care. If you can, subscribe, support, share, do that thing, and stay updated with Patrick. How?
Patrick Oathout. And check out my website at www.patrickforhouston.com.
Nice. patrickforhouston.com.
Something people can remember, including me. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Say goodbye, Patrick.
Bye.